Good morning, fabulous humans. Welcome to another fabulous episode of How Many Tabs Are Open on Mr. Johnson's computer? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Wait, that was 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I know how to count. I'm a math teacher. All right. So, if you're not taking the star, you have your assignments today. Remember, your assignments count for attendance, so get them done. Notice and wonder. What do you notice? What do you wonder? Let's take a look. So, let's read the instructions. Look at the numbers below. Looking at the numbers below. It looks like there is a pattern. Is it additive like yesterday where we're adding each time? Or is it multiplicative or we're multiplying each time? Let's see. If these numbers were on the output side of a table, what would the rule be? Let's actually do that. Let's find out. Let's do an XY input output table. So we have 3, 9, 27, 81. And then 243. So, what's going on here? Well, it kind of looks to me like we're multiplying by 3, only because when I see we're skip counting and I see all these are answers to 3 multiplication facts, might be might be something like a pattern of times 3, right? Because 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. What times 3 is 27? 9 times 3 is 27. And I think we're basically taking the previous number and multiplying it by 3. And let's see, 6, 7, 8. And it looks like we get the next number. So 27 times 3 is 81. And I'm guessing that 81 times 3 is going to be 243. Let's check it out. 8 times 3 is 24. That is, in fact, what's going on here. So our rule is x, well, 3x, 3 times x equals y. This is our rule for this table. Whatever our x value is, we're multiplying it by 3. Remember, anytime you have a number next to a letter with no symbol, it means multiply. So it could look like either one of these where you have the parentheses. If it's easier for you to put the parentheses, you can put the parentheses. And that way, whenever you just fill in the number, you have the answer. 3 times 1 equals 3, right? We replaced x with 1, x with 1. 3 times 1 equals 3. That gave us our y. So our rule is 3 times x equals y. What is being multiplied? All these are what are all these numbers multiples of? 3. And then what is being multiplied each time to change the number? 3. This was 9 times 27. Oops, not 9 times 27. That was 3 times 9 was 27, right? And then 3 times 27 was 81. 3 times 81 was 243. And if we did 3 times 243, we'd probably have our next number on here. All right, so it was times 3 is our rule. Now let's take a look at our assignment. Bloop, bloop. Bloop, bloop. So yesterday we worked with additive rules. This week, today we're working with multiplicative rules. Fun to say, multiplicative. Means rules where you're multiplying. Multiplicative. Lots of syllables. Try and say it out loud. Multiplicative. All right, and so what we're looking at here is we're looking at the basis of our rule. Y is equal to some number times x. All right. A is just another variable for this situation. Don't worry about that. It makes more sense when we actually start doing it. Okay, so the A, as you can see, is the number that we're multiplying against. So we're trying to find which one of these is the best rule, which one of these works. 2 times our x equals y or 6 times our x equals y. All right, so once again, what we're going to do is we're just going to plug in our answers into the formula. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to take y and replace it with 6 because our y is 6. And then we're going to take our x and replace it with 3 and see if that's true. Is that true? 2 times 3 equals 6? That is true. let's try the same thing over here. Y, the y is supposed to be 6. And then 6 times our x, 3. 6 times 3 is 18. Is 6 equal to 18? No, that doesn't make sense, right? So let's check our work. 6 times 2, 2 times 6. Since x is 6, 2 times 6 is also 12. So that checks out. And then 9 times, let me do this as 2 times 9, since we're keeping with that. 2 times 9 is also 18, right? So that one checks out as well. So it's not times 6. We are taking our x value and we're multiplying it times 2. So the best answer, you can move the check, is over there. All right, next page. We have our first line will not tell us a rule at all. Let me clear this out real quick because that's not what I needed to do. Clear screen. Okay. So select the pattern. So the first line doesn't tell us anything because if you plug in 0 on both of these, y equals 6 times 0. Yeah, 6 times 0 is 0. So we can't tell. Y equals 3 times 0. 3 times 0 is 0. So with this first line, we cannot tell the rule. We have to move to the second line. All right, so let's use the second line, y equals 6x. So we're going to replace y with 6, and then we're going to take 6x, and we're going to replace x with the number in our x value. This is what we're looking at right now. So we replaced y with 6, x is 2, 6 does not equal 12. This does not look like it works. Let's check out y equals 3x. Y equals 3 times our x value. So let's take our x value and plug it in for x, and our y value and plug it in for y. So our y value is 6, and then we're going to plug in our x value. Does this make sense? Is 3 times 2 6? Yeah. So this side does seem to work. Let's just double check our work. Can we multiply 3 times 4 and get 12? Yeah, we can. So we took 3 times our x value of 4, and it gave us y value of 12. So 6x doesn't look like it works. Times 3 looks like it works. All right, so 2 pages down, on to the next one. All right, complete the pattern. So we're trying to figure out what are we multiplying times x to get our y. All right, so we're going to use the formula still use the formula. Oops. All sorts of messing up right now. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Okay, so y is equal to something times x. All right, so we're going to fill in the parts that we know. Y is 8, right, times something times 2. Okay, so what we're looking at is I've replaced y over here with 8. I've replaced x with 2 because we have a 2 over here and an 8 over here. So now I just need to fill in something in the box. What times 2 equals 8? So if you think about your math facts, 4 times 2 equals 8. So I'm guessing right now that a 4 would go in this box, but let's check with another piece of data from our table. So y equals blank times x. Let's take our x value and our y value and plug them in. Oops, I didn't mean to do the y. The y should be 12. We do have our y. Y is 12. And then x is 3. So what times 3 equals 12? Once again, 4 times 3 equals 12. So that is our second problem that we've checked over here, where 4 is our best answer, right? Y is equal to 4 times x. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. So our answer is 4 on this one. Moving on. All right, this one has decimals, so it's going to take a little extra thought. However, we can kind of tell that our y value is half of our x value. 5 split in half is 2 and 5/10. 10 split in half is 5. All right, so here's the thing. We're multiplying to get smaller. That means we're multiplying times a decimal. All right, remember, when you multiply times less than a whole number, your number gets smaller. And here's another hint. We're getting smaller by half. What is half as a decimal? Remember, if you're thinking about money, half can look like 5/10, 50 hundredths. Okay, so remember, we can also use decimals to get smaller. So y equals blank times x. Remember, we can't use this first column because everything equals 0 when we multiply times 0. So that's not going to tell us our rule. On this one, let's go ahead and fill in x and y. Okay, so y is going to be 2 and 5/10 equals blank times, and our x over there is 5. So something times 5 equals 2 and 5/10. Okay, this is the part where we're really going to have to think about what we know about what we've learned about decimals this year. So multiplying times 5/10 is the same thing as dividing by 2. All right, so what I mean by that is 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5, right? 10 times 5/10 is also equal to 5, right? And if you're wondering how is 10 times 5, there we go. 10 times 5/10 equal to 5, let's do the algorithm, all right? Here's 10 times 5/10, all right? 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. We have one decimal place. We move the decimal point over 1. Right there, we're looking at 5 as our answer, right? So 10 times a half, 10 times a half, or 5/10, equals 5. So 5/10 times 5 is also equal to 2 and 5/10. All right, remember, when you multiply by less than 1, your number gets smaller. All right, so remember, dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2, even as a fraction or a decimal. So this one was a little bit complicated. It's a little bit new. So your answer is 5/10. 5/10 of x equals y. So half of x equals y. And this is a cool tip for the future, because most of the time you'd think you'd have to divide to get a smaller number. But you can also multiply by a decimal to get a smaller number. All right, moving on. Couple more. All right, so y equals 5x. All we're going to do is we're going to use the formula to our advantage. We're just going to plug in our x's. Y equals 5x. All right, y is equal to 5 times what's our x value? 3. So y is equal to 15. All right, over here we have the blank for the y. So y is equal, oops, we don't have the blank for the y. What am I talking about? Let me do this again. We have the blank for the x. So on this one, we have y equals, and then we don't know our x. So it's 5 times something we do not know. All right. Now, I'm going to fill in what I do know. So it is 30 is our y is equal to 5 times some number I don't know. 5 times what equals 30? If you said 6, you are correct. So 6 is our x because 5 times 6 equals 30. All right, I'm going to set you up for this last one, and I want you to try it yourself. Okay, so y is equal to 5 times x. And let's set this up. We do not know our y value. That's the part we're wondering. So y is equal to 5 times, what is our x value? 9. So y is equal to whatever the answer of 5 times 9 is, and that's what you're going to put right there. So 5 times 9, get the answer, stick it in that box right there. All right, moving on. Last one. Y equals 1 and 5/10 x. So we're multiplying by a decimal. So once again, all we're going to do is we're going to fill in the formula. Y is equal to 1 and 5/10 times x. There's our formula. And now we're going to fill it in. We don't know the y. That's our question mark. We do know x, so we're going to put in 2 for x. So now over on the side, I'm going to multiply it. Remember, you could do 15 times 2 and move the decimal point as well, or you can do the algorithm. 5 times 2 is 10, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place. So our answer over here is 3. All right, using the same formula backwards, y equals 1 and 5/10 times x, but this time we know the y value. I'm going to take off the 0/10 because it's the same value. So 1 and 5/10. So let's say you have $1.50. How many groups of $1.50 would you need to have $6? So $1.50 plus $1.50 is how much? It's $2. 50 cents plus 50 cents is $1. So it's $3. So 2 groups is $3. So how many groups would be $6? All right. If you guessed, or if you know that 1 and 5/10 times 4, 4 times 1 is 4, 5, 6, 1 decimal place. If 150 in 4 groups is $6, then 1 and 5/10 times 4 would also be 6. All right, so on this last one, just use the formula once again. You're going to use y equals 1 and 5/10 x. We don't know the y. We do know the x. So go ahead and I've set this problem up for you. Do 1 and 5/10 times 6. Once you solve that, remember to count your decimal places and put that answer right here. And that should be the end. So 1 and 5/10 times 6. Go ahead and do the algorithm. 6 times 5. Carry your number. 6 times 1. Add that number. And then you'll have the answer. All right, real quick. Let's just take a look. Your exit ticket today, which table shows the multiplicative pattern. So just like yesterday, today you're going to find the multiplicative pattern instead of the additive pattern. Yesterday you found the additive pattern. Which one of these shows that we're multiplying every single input to get an output? All right, we're not adding, we're multiplying. Multiplicative pattern. So which one of these shows us multiplying times our input? So really do that 3rd grade, 4th grade, find the rules stuff, and whichever one of these tables has multiplication rules for all 4 pieces of data is the answer. All right, and then once again, you're going to use this to help you out. All right, one hint on this. The first one says to multiply by a decimal. If you multiply by a decimal, your number gets smaller. Is our number getting smaller when we get to our y value? Or are we doubling our x value to get our y value? So remember, if you multiply times a decimal, your number gets smaller. If you multiply times a whole number, your number gets bigger. So it looks like what's happening to our x value. Is it getting smaller or is it getting bigger? All right. So that should be it for the day for math. You do have some science stuff. You can play with your circuit board and catch things on fire and all that stuff. So I hope you have fun. I hope you're having a good day. I'll see most of y'all tomorrow. Remember, you have your map test for math if you did not take the Math Star on Wednesday. So Wednesday, 9 a.m. If you have not taken your STAR test this year, you will take your map test on Wednesday at 9. So, all right. I hope that y'all have a good day. I hope that everything is going well. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I will see y'all later. Bye.